Am I the asshole for embarrassing a lunch thief at work? So pretty much the title. I don't think I am the A, but I've been getting some flack for it, so I really want to clear this up. So I started a new job recently. I work in small studio. There are several others in the building. Think open plan office with sections assigned to each studio. The person I had an altercation with doesn't work for my studio, just FYI. I eat lunch at 1-ish and most people eat at 12. I came down early to eat at 12. I made coffee and while at the counter noticed my Tupperware in the sink, empty. Imagine my surprise when I turned around and saw a man I didn't know sitting down at the table with my food on his plate. He had just stuck it in the microwave. Acting rashly since I was mad, I sat down next to him and said, "Hey, that looks good. Mind if I try it?" Then before waiting for an answer I yanked the plate away from him and snatched his fork out his hand. He just blinked in shock, as did the other people there, as I started eating. He then, quite loudly, asked what I thought I was doing and I replied, "Huh, you know this was actually much better when I first cooked it. It probably lost some flavor in the fridge." He caught on quickly that it was my food and went a lil red. I then asked him where he got the gall to steal someone else's lunch and then asked them what they were doing when they took it back. He stuttered out some nonsense about not knowing it was mine and I replied, "Well, you knew it wasn't yours, right?" He just mumbled something like an apology and I said that's no problem, it was nice he'd warmed it up for me at least, in an admittedly btchy tone, and then he just got up and left and the people there just stared in silence. Two of the silent watchers, maybe his mates IDK, told me that I was rude to him and that there had been nicer ways to go about it. I told them to think how they'd feel if someone ate their food before saying they should focus on their lunch and I'll focus on mine. Well, it's been a little awkward at lunch since and I have the impression a few people are talking shite about me at work now. Maybe I could have been nicer, sure. I still don't think I was wrong, but tell me Reddit AITA. TLDR, lunch thief tried to eat my food in front of me. I took it back and embarrassed him in front of his colleagues. Not the asshole, lol, you are an absolute baller. Honestly, you handled it in a epic fashion. Don't think anybody is going to mess with you from now on. Don't worry about the whispers. I reckon most likely people will deep down respect you more. Well, at least I would if I worked there. Good job. Edit. Haha, how the hell has this comment got 20k plus upvotes and awards? Thanks all. Love ya. Not the asshole, but you need to go to HR about this and get ahead of it. Especially since it sounds like now there's a hostile and unpleasant workplace in the making. Not the asshole. There is no reason to be polite to someone who stole your lunch and would have let you go hungry if you had not caught them. Two of the silent watchers, maybe his mates IDK, told me that I was rude to him and that there had been nicer ways to go about it. They can buy him a lunch if they want to be nice to the food thief. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I fucking applaud you. Amazing. Not the asshole. Someone stole my lunch last week and I am not ashamed to admit that I burst into tears and it ruined my whole shift. The catharsis I am feeling while reading this is amazing. Not the asshole. You're not an asshole for putting him on blast. It was well deserved and based on your retelling pretty funny as well. He's obviously an asshole on the other hand, stealing other people's food without any concern about leaving you without any food to eat. Not the asshole, and I love a lunch thief story where they actually get caught. It's unbelievable that so many people out there are willing to steal someone's food like that. Am I the asshole for not asking my mill nicely to hand over the baby for feeding? Hi. I'm a new mom, had my son 5 weeks ago. My husband's parents have been staying with us and things have been super overwhelming. Mill has a habit of taking the baby and refusing to give him back to me. She'd say I'm deliberately ruining her time with him. My son needs feeding every 2 hours and she basically makes me beg her to hand him over to me so I could feed. Last night at 10 p.m. Mill had my son in her arms while sitting on the couch with my husband and his dad. I was exhausted, the baby started crying. I told my Mill to hand him over to me so I could feed him. She refused and I kept asking. My husband starts talking about what a whiny little girl I was to complain that our son is receiving love and cuddles and how I'm using feeding as an excuse to keep the baby away from his mom. I ignored him and told his mom to hand over the baby. She refused and said I needed to wait a little longer. I got angry at this point. My husband said I could take the baby after I asked his mom nicely. This had me seething. I meanly told his mom to stop being annoying and overbearing and hand him over to me. She looked at me shocked and hurt. She handed the baby over and ran into the guest room and my husband gave me a look, then followed her and stayed inside to comfort her. He came into the room while I was feeding my son and started yelling about how disrespectful I was to speak to his mom this way and treat her poorly when all she's doing is showing our son more love than I do. I told him about how she's been taking the baby for hours and preventing me from feeding him properly. He said that 1, our son isn't an object for me to act like I own him, and 2, his mom was doing nothing wrong, and 3, I should have asked nicely instead of being a $ch to his mom and making her cry. I started crying and yelled that I'd go to my mom's place if his parents stay any longer, and he yelled back saying, "Shut the fuck up. You're only acting up 'cause you don't want my parents around. Fuck's wrong with you?" Then walked out. I felt terrible thinking maybe I was rude to his mom, but I also think that I'd hit my limits here. Am I the asshole for not asking her nicely like my husband wanted? Edit. Some mistakes because my hands are a bit unsteady. Not the asshole. Pack your gear and take baby to your parents. Rethink your relationship as well. Who the hell speaks to their wife like that, especially after having baby? Protect your mental, physical health at all cost. Not the asshole at all, and I'm very alarmed at your husband calling you a whiny little girl for trying to feed your child. And then attempting to prevent him from being fed even when he was crying until you asked his mother nicely for permission to feed your own child. You seriously need to evaluate if this is a safe environment for your child to be raised in. I started crying and yelled that I'd go to my mom's place. #DOTHISNOW. You are under such stress both emotionally and physically. I think having an actual loving, supportive environment is the best thing for both you and your child. Take your child. Go to your mom, and actually see how you're supposed to be treated by someone who actually loves you. Your husband is an abusive asshole. Please, for the sake of your child, don't let that become the norm of their life. Not the asshole. Showing your son more love than you do, well, maybe because the monster-in-law is hogging the baby. She's doing more harm than good and obviously doesn't love that baby as much as he thinks if she can sit there and hear them cry because they're hungry. Not the asshole, but please get out before anything happens. They sound super toxic. I hope all goes well. Stay safe, op 2 hearts. Not the asshole. Pack up and take your baby to your mom's. Oh, and file for divorce 'cause this guy is a straight-up abuser. Yikes. Divorce him. Not the asshole. Find a safe place to get away. Can you go to your parents' house? Not the asshole. What the fuck is wrong with your husband? Am I the asshole for telling my parents I'm going to be as big a problem as my sister from now on? I, 17 female, am the responsible kid according to my parents. I have 2 siblings, 14 female, 11 male, and my bro and I get along because we're both pretty quiet and easygoing, but my sister is a complete bitch, to put it frank. She throws a fit whenever she doesn't get her way, and usually my parents just give in because she's a big pain to deal with for days. She always has to be the center of attention, and she causes problems to get attention when she's not. Gets really effing old. I drive them to school and pick them up now, and our mom gave me money to get us fast food for dinner since she and my dad have a work thing and won't be home till late in the evening. My sister likes McDonald's, but I hate MCD, and we always eat what she wants, so I say we're going to Sonic because I know my bro likes their food, and so do I. My sister insists we go to MCD, and I told her I'm driving. I decide where we go, and both me and bro are tired of MCD. She can shut up and deal. She starts screaming at me, tries to call our parents and doesn't get an answer, and eventually sulks and refuses to order food. I get an extra pack of chicken in case she changes her mind and take us home. She has a screaming, crying fit to our parents later about it. Over effing McDonald's. Later my mom says I know how she gets and to just humor her next time, and I say I'm not going to anymore, and also it's shitty that she gets her way all the time and they need to tell her to can it and make her do stuff me and my bro like sometimes or leave her at home. My mom says she's difficult and we're more easygoing, so I say, Sue, you're saying I'm too nice and I need to be difficult to get what I want. Assignment understood. I'm going to be as much of a problem as I can from now on. Then I started not doing any more chores than she does. None. Using some of her more irritating phrases to the parents, and loudly complaining about anything she wants to do. And now I'm the bad guy and being mean, and they say I need to be the mature example. But also it kinda worked. They finally made her go to a restaurant we like and never get to go to. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, bravo. Your parents failed on raising your sister and you and your brother suffered. Now your parents can deal with the fallout of their bad parenting. Not the asshole. And #X200B. This was the standard they set. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And #X200B. Parenting isn't easy, and treating your kids evenly is the best you can do. But that's not what they did. Your little sister realized early on that she could get her way by acting difficult. They should have nipped that in the bud ASAP. They didn't, and now they have 2, likely soon 3, trouble-making kids that know their parents are weak and cave to complaining. And #X200B. It's not to notice what they've been putting in front of your face for years. I feel bad that you have to act this way for them to get it, but you tried the more diplomatic route first. They just forced your hand. Not the asshole. Your parents need to do some parenting. Otherwise your sister will just keep on getting worse and worse. You're being punished for being responsible, and that's just not right, and it's bad parenting by your parents. Not the asshole. The reason people like your sister act that way is because they have been allowed to act that way. Until your parents decide to make her accountable and suffer consequences, I would do exactly like what you are doing. If they don't make her accountable, she will grow up to be a whiny, insufferable ass. Not the asshole. It is lazy parenting in my opinion to be like, she's difficult so we don't argue with her and accept it. That's not fair on the both of you, but it's also not fair on her. She is not learning any kind of real-world coping skills and taking any kind of accountability. That's going to be extremely shitty once she's an adult and has to find out the hard way that that is not how it works. Ridiculous. Of course, your reaction is a bit petty, but since they won't listen to reason. Their own fault. Not the asshole. Sometimes they need a taste of their own medicine to understand the issue. Allowing sister to get her own way means the rest of the family is unhappy rather than one person being unhappy for a short time. Sister needs to learn fast the world doesn't cater to her whims. Not the asshole. Your parents are enabling one child, they should see the consequences of their actions multiplied. I'd be petty and get the brother to join in, to be honest. Not the asshole. Your sister is a spoiled brat. Your parents are enablers that always take the easy way instead of doing what needs to be done. Your sister needs to be put in her place and she better learn the way the world works. Your life does not revolve around hers. Good for you. Am I the asshole refusing to allow some kids a pony ride? All hell breaks loose. Update. Thank you to everyone. I'm so sorry I can't reply to you all, there's just too many. First point, I do not hate kids. If I did I would want them hurt, I wish the exact opposite. 2. I have unblocked all the family and sent them a pretty long MSG calmly explaining what had happened and what my concerns were. I also included a link to a child falling off a horse the size of mine, explaining I don't want any kid to face injury, disability, or death. The response has been very, very positive. Third, I have reached out to the family of the birthday girl and explained what happened. They were mortified as had no idea I hadn't given permission. I have set up a meet the horsey for this weekend, with the landowner's permission. We're setting up an arena with temp fencing etc. She doesn't know it, but there will also be 2 ponies from the higher place there for pony rides for her and her friend's winking face. Long story short, I, F43, have owned my horse for over 20 years after rescuing her from a knackery as a 4-month-old foal, story in itself. I keep her in a huge field 24/7 with other horses and she is the absolute apple of my eye. I don't mind people saying hi to her over the fence, we live in the suburbs so obviously it's going to happen. What I hate is how my mother keeps offering her friends' grandkids pony rides. Neither my horse or I are people. I'm sick of showing up at the property to be met with a gaggle of kids expecting a pony ride. I've laid down the law and told Mum no more. She exploded at me but I've stayed firm. I spoke to the property owner because I worry Mum will just show up and try to give the kids a pony ride without my supervision. He agreed it's a liability and has marked her as not allowed on the property without me there. Yesterday he called me saying she was there with 12 kids. 12. And going off her rocker because he wouldn't allow her on the property. I spoke to her on his phone and told her to bugger off and never try this rubbish again. Since then I've had to block her and most of my family because OMG the flying monkeys and screaming about how I'm overprivileged, selfish, and a child-hating monster. I don't think I was wrong, but it's starting to really get to me. Was I the So not the asshole. Your mother is completely off her rocker and entitled. Your horse equals your rules. It's really that simple. She's just past that, you made her look bad to her friends. For the record, you didn't make her look bad. She did this to herself. Not the asshole. What kind of idiot takes random children on pony rides on a pony that does like kids? Stick to your guns. Horses can be dangerous. Lawsuits suck. Not the asshole. Tell her to buy her own pony. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You know your horse better than anyone. Your mother is acting like it's her horse. Not the asshole. She's your horse, and if shit hits the fan with a kid, you and her will be facing the consequences, not your mother. Would she let kids drive your car? Roam about your house while you're not home? Not the asshole. Your mom is a huge awe. An animal is not a toy. A horse that doesn't like kids and which she tried to get rides without you present could be dangerous. Your mother's lack of respect or consideration for you or the horse is appalling. Not the asshole I grew up riding. This post is terrifying. Is your mom nuts? Bringing a dozen kids to run around a stable and randomly ride a horse? Especially when your horse isn't used to a bunch of kids squealing, pulling every which way and getting behind them, just wow. No regard for the horse's well-being or the kid's safety here at all. This has accident and lawsuit written all over it. Big props to the property owner for understanding the seriousness of the situation and managing your mom's lunacy for you.